I'll give you a wonderful story. So this is literally the moment my entire mind just shattered. What was funny is I was making $100,000 a year there, and then maybe making $20,000 a month online coaching as well at the same time.
Charlie Johnson, the elite transformation coach and CEO of CJ Coaching, recognized among the top 10 fitness leaders set to transform lifestyles worldwide.
Renowned for helping over 10,000 busy executives reshape their bodies, sharpen their minds, and become the best versions of themselves, all while scaling a multi-million-dollar global brand.
And on a mission to positively change 100,000 lives by 2030.
When I was 21, 22 years old, I thought I'd completely ruined my life. 26, 27, I was getting caught in the trap, kind of 9 to 5, and I could see my life trajectory was just going to be the same shit for the next 30, 40 years. And I was like, you have to get out of this now, otherwise you never will.
For a lot of people, they're just like, yeah, I just want to be involved. I just want to be rich. I don't want to do anything. And I'm like, that's literally why you're not rich, because that's exactly what everyone does.
At the beginning, you have the least amount of skills, the least amount of resources, and the worst network, and it's most difficult. One thing I was aware of was I can shorten the time horizon by paying someone to teach me. So I've always been a big believer in coaching and mentorship.
What would you say was a part of identity you had to kill in order to grow, if anything? So Charlie, you built a massive online fitness brand. When was the moment you kind of realized you didn't just want to be fit, you kind of wanted to be, let's say, over the top, a little bit more elite?
I think for me, the penny really dropped. The difference between like good and great is like a very small amount, like just 10% difference. But most people aren't willing to put that 10% difference in. That's also why I have a huge amount of respect for you, because I see some of the things you put on social media behind the scenes and the like weird things you do. And it's those weird extra 10% of things that make you who you are. And the same thing for me of like the weird stuff. People are like, well, why do you do that? I was like, well, it's because that's kind of what got me to this position. So I think for me, it's one of those things that I think most people are very successful. I'd use that apostrophe termed. They're driven by insecurity. And for me, that's one of those things of like, I'm constantly trying to compete with myself to be like, you need to kind of beat the previous version of yourself, if that makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, you're a big guy too. You're like, what, you gotta be like, what, 230,
230 pounds?
Yeah, pounds. Yeah. Cause I've always tried thinking kilograms.
Yeah, 103, 105 kilos.
But yeah, you're a big dude, bro. Before all that, I guess I should say, did you have any like, I don't know, beliefs about yourself, or did you even think you could get to this point?
So the biggest belief that I had to break was when I was 21, 22 years old, I thought I'd completely ruined my life because all my friends were coming out of university, college. I didn't go, and they were getting like good jobs. And I was like, at the time was like failing as a kind of personal trainer and not doing very well. And I was like, this kind of sucks. And I went into real estate and became a real estate agent. And the reality is like my year's salary is like a day's pay now sometimes. So it's like the difference and discrepancy of what can kind of happen with that. But what I realized is that 26, 27, I was getting caught in the trap in terms of the like kind of 9 to 5. And I could see my life trajectory was just going to be the same shit for the next 30, 40 years. And I was like, you have to get out of this now. Otherwas you never will. And that's
is that why you didn't go to university? Like what? Because for me, I went, but I was playing American football. So that was kind of that was the main reason. For you, was that kind of like weird, or like were you an outcast that you?
It was more like a big lack of direction. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be successful. I knew I wanted to do business stuff, and I had a huge amount of drive, but I didn't know where to kind of point myself. And I think one of the things in hindsight I would have liked more from my parents is probably more direction, whereas they were like, you can do whatever you want. And then like, what do I do? And it doesn't kind of like help you.
So did they not care? Like they're just like,
no, they're not the care. They just want you to go and like do what you want to be happy. But it's like, I don't know what I want to do. So it's like, for me, I was kind of looking to be pushed into a path.
Yeah.
So like, I'm going to be a father in October and having a daughter. And
no shit. Congrats, man.
Thank you. And one of the things that I look forward to with like children is trying to like guide them into becoming like the best version of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you have siblings?
I have one brother, and
older or younger?
Younger. And he's like almost personality traits polar opposite for me in many respects.
Different interests. Like I'm more of a risk taker and more kind of like cavalier, whereas he's more like safe, steady. It's interesting you said that because, about what your parents were like. Because my parents, so I'm the oldest boy. I have 4 sisters, 2 brothers. The boys are pretty similar. I'd say the girls are like, different, obviously. But like just the boys are very driven, very motivated, very disciplined. The girls are kind of like not. But yeah, I don't, when I started my business, I don't think they thought it was going to work, but I just remember they're like, I mean, yeah, like it's your life, like it's your money. Like they weren't paying for anything. So they're like, yeah, good luck. Was that kind of similar to how it was with your parents? 100%. But one thing it just flagged in my memory is that when I started my online business, I left my full-time job
25th of February 2019.
What were you doing at the job?
I was a branch manager of a real estate agent.
Interesting.
So I was making $100,000 a year. It was good. And what was funny is I was making $100,000 a year there, and then maybe making $20,000 a month online coaching as well at the same time. And it came to the point where I eventually got the minerals to pull the plaster off and jump.
Do you like, I've noticed you talking pounds and USD.
Yeah.
Do you run everything USD?
We sell in pounds because I'm pretty sure it's how we track
Right.
things. So I think
It's usually a little better than the dollar, right?
Yeah.
The
The pound's way stronger. So it's like 35% more.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you talked about it a little bit, but I guess, was it your ego that kind of pushed you the most, or was it just like lack of like success? Or
for me, I think the biggest thing driving me is fear of failure. And I think that's probably, and I don't know if this resonates with you, but one of the things I've found not difficult, but is trying to find different drivers. Once you're not, I have the things I want. It's like, okay, like what's driving me at this point to then try and get to the next level. So I think it's trying to find that source of fuel and fire. For me, I enjoy the game and I like the process. It's the same as like working out sales business. I like building stuff. And then when I see it starts to work, I'm like, this is sick. And transparently, I like building things. I don't really like running things. So like for me, I like the creative side of like, this strategy's sick, let's do it. And then you guys run it. And then I'm like, I'm kind of out. Do you know what I mean?
That makes sense. I guess the next thing let's transition to, Charlie, is like, walk us through your first year of online business. And then what would you say you got right? And then what would you say you got wrong?
Well, I got a lot wrong. I can start with that. And I think this is why business is really, really messed up in a lot of respects, because at the beginning, you have the least amount of skills, the least amount of resources, and the worst network, and it's the most difficult. So it's like the inverse in terms of like when you have some success, it's like you have money, you have skills, you know people, you can generally kind of solve any problem. So it's kind of, and your mindset's also probably terrible at the beginning as well. So I say at the beginning, the biggest mistake I made is, one thing I was aware of was I can shorten the time horizon by paying someone to teach me. So I've always been a big believer in coaching and mentorship from day one. The first person I hired who helped me, big mistake that he pushed me into was selling low ticket, like 8-week programs. Yeah. And like, dude, I was selling 1,000 people into like every 8 weeks into these 8-week challenges. If I just done high ticket straight away, I'd like crushed. And obviously I clicked on with that in hindsight, but that was probably one of the big mistakes, is just not charging enough. And it's the same mistake I see a lot of people making still now, is they're afraid to price higher. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back.
Right. So for the listeners, like, why not doing low ticket, and why is high ticket better?
I'll give you a wonderful story. So this is literally the moment like my entire mind just shattered. I had a guy who bought our 8-week transformation challenge. It was called Shred Mate. Still going now. People can still buy it. And the reality of what happened was, this guy was actually, his name is Jared. He came from Florida. He bought this thing that was like $100. And then probably 3 months later, he then wanted to work one-to-one with me. I sold him a coaching program that was £9,000 for a year. It's like $12,000, $13,000. He stayed with me for 3 years. So it's like, I don't know, it's like in US, like $40,000 versus like 100. So I was like, I suddenly like, well, this is a pain in the ass. I'll just get more of these guys and focus on this. And there's way more scale and less problems. And the people who pay the least would like payment dispute and just for like stupid stuff.
Well, and I think for me, you know, I saw people who had these big brands, and then, you know, I'd see what they were doing and I thought, oh, they must be rich. And then come to find out, some of them were not that rich. And then I started figuring out, okay, so the only way like you can be, let's say, relatively unknown, like you're not famous like Kim Kardashian or something like that, is like you just sell high price shit. And so you need less customers, and then it kind of works itself out. You know, I've done everything under the sun. I've just never, to this day, sold something at a lower price that made sense, unless the irony is you upsell on the back end. So people are even like, oh, I want to do low ticket. I'm like, dude, low ticket will only work if you sell expensive shit after anyways. Right. So it's just kind of funny to me, because people, they get in this mindset that they don't have to be involved. And I just think, unless you have a massive organic traffic source, like it's just not possible.
So the word you said there is people don't want to be involved is literally the thing that I just want to strangle people sometimes. I'm like, dude, like this is your business. And unless you are like Cristiano Ronaldo, like people aren't just going to buy shit. That's like, you have to be involved in this and have to take some accountability. You can't just like outsource to all these random teams and stuff.
Yeah, it's weird to me too. It's like the gym mindset. It's like, I want to be in shape, but I don't want to diet. I don't want to train. It's like, okay, then, you know, be fat. Like I just like, it's weird to me, because I feel like it's very logical, but for a lot of people, they're just like, yeah, I just want to be involved. I just want to be rich. I don't want to do anything. And I'm like, that's literally why you're not rich, because that's exactly what everyone does. So Super interesting. Speaking about like fitness pros, because you work a lot with them, obviously, what did you do differently? And it sounds like it's the high ticket. Did you do anything else differently that kind of got you out of like trading time for money model?
The biggest thing I think I focused on was just leverage of like omnipresence of just blasting traffic. So in particular, and I know you were a fan of this particular back in the days, like Instagram shout out pages. Dude, I spent like $500,000.
Did you do as much anymore?
No.
They don't work. Yeah, it's weird. I think it's weird to see like over time things like come in and out, and there's no reason for it. And then I just started to realize over time, like, oh, it's not really me. It's just the economy or like whatever's going on. I don't know.
So what you also said there just highlights another problem in the industry is that there's a lot of people teaching shit from like 2020 that no longer works. And people are like, oh, this doesn't work. It's like, yeah, because it didn't fucking work anymore. Like, or
they just don't want to, they don't innovate. Something like this is my 7th year of business. I think it's about to be 8, starting in September. But it's like stuff that used to work, you kind of get comfortable and it's like you think it's going to work forever and then it stops working and you're like, it's been weird for me because like I started to see why businesses went out of business, because if you don't continue to innovate and learn, I think people get comfortable. So that let's say they want to make 100,000 a year, they get to 100,000 and then they're like, oh, I'm good. And they stop. And then the irony is because business keeps progressing, they stay stuck behind, they start to go down and then they go out of business. That's what I think happens. That's what I've seen.
And with that right now, it's like turbocharged from like AI technology. Everything is moving so fast. And I think like the half-life, if you want to use that term, of information is getting faster and faster and faster, where the people who aren't paying attention are just going to get massively left behind.
I agree. And like, I want to say 3 years ago, but I took a sabbatical for my business for 6 months, like stepped out like 100%, wasn't involved in a single thing. And that was a big mistake in the sense of, well, I made wrong personnel decisions, but when I came back, the industry was moving and I was so far behind and I just kind of got like, oh, this is going to work forever. What specifically
changed in that period? You know?
It's interesting. When I was building my business, ironically, every single month I was going up by like $100,000. It was crazy, or 200,000. And what happened right as I was getting to like, I want to say 600,000 or 700,000, maybe 800,000 a month is COVID. So then COVID hit and I was like, oh, like, you know, I'm a badass and all that stuff. But the reality is like, it was just a good time. Yeah. Like it was
easy.
Yeah. And I think in business, a lot of times we always think it's us, but there's a little bit of luck. There's a little bit of timing. And, you know, like we want to think it's all us. So then after COVID ended, the business started going down. And I thought, you know, of course, I think the best way to be successful is I thought it was me. But over time, you just like the industry is way different now. And so over time, I saw, oh, this is why people go out of business, because either like A, it's a bad offer, it's not like strong enough, or B, the economy changes, right? And people don't want to pivot. And I get why people don't want to pivot, because they get to a certain number and they're cool with that number and then they stop learning. So that's why the people who keep learning, I think, or the people that like love the game, they just keep staying ahead because they're always like innovating and doing the next thing. That was the biggest thing, in my opinion, is just, you know, I was spending $500,000 a month on ads. And then all of a sudden, like we weren't getting the same return. And, you know, the first thing you do is you look at your team and you go in there and look at all the stuff, but people just were not responding like they used to, or they weren't like engaging like they used to. And so it's different now.
That reminds me of, it's like, but consumer awareness. So a great example in that kind of time there. I don't know if you ever used a software called Direct Heroes.
Nah.
Okay. So
maybe though.
Okay. So basically, I think
it's like ManyChat.
Yeah. So like when COVID, like it was like a ropey one. So like when COVID first kicked off in like 2020, I was getting leads for our fitness business for like £1 a DM message.
What the fuck?
And I didn't know how, because that's like $1.30 for anyone who's American. And I also got this ropey software called Direct Heroes, which was like the first autoresponder that no one knew existed.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I was just like blasting messages into our like Instagram account, and I just had these fucking messages firing back
through.
And dude, like we literally book call people in like 3 calls.
Yeah, it's a joke. And it's like, and like when it's that easy, people, they sometimes are not even super, what's the word? They haven't optimized the process. They're just like, we're getting so many leads and their team's like kind of shit and they're not really doing a good job. And then people get better, or it gets harder, and they're like, oh, it's not working anymore. It's like, well, your team's kind of shit. You're not managing them. And now it's like 5 times more expensive. That's interesting. Yeah. Because I mean, if you stay in business long enough, I think the thing that was good for me to see is you should always blame yourself first, but then seeing stuff that was outside of my control that made me better. So for example, I have 2 portfolio companies right now. One of the ladies, she spends $5,000 a month. She makes $150,000 a month. And she's a one-woman show. And it's like, people go, what's the difference? I'm like, dude, it's her offer. That's it. Like she sells how to get into Ivy League schools. She has super rich parents on the phone. They're desperate. Their kids have like a year left and they're just $20,000, $40,000. Like, and I'm like, what the fuck? But she has the same funnel. And when she came to me, she's like, yeah, I sold 600,000 last year. I was like, how? Referrals. I said, why isn't your funnel working? Her funnel, whoever set it up was an idiot. It was like, opt in for the train. Then it was like, all right, send the train to your email. Good luck. I was like, you just need a button to book a call. She puts that in and like all of a sudden calls just like start flowing in. And I think seeing that has been interesting because I saw, okay, if she's not doing anything special and she's killing it, it's like, okay, that goes back to kind of the previous like thought of there's certain offers that are more competitive. They're more competitive. Like I would say like if you're in business consulting, it's more competitive now. So it's not going to do as well as maybe that offer, which is more blue ocean versus a red ocean, stuff like that,
So with that being said, do you think, and obviously things innovate very quickly, there's a fine line also between getting distracted with a red shiny object too much, which I also see a lot of people do.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, for the average person, for me to gain leverage and keep growing at this point, I have portfolio companies where I own equity, but they run it and my team helps implement, but I'm not involved. And that makes sense. But for the average person who hasn't really built a business or grown it or hired a team or has like any of those skills, it's a huge waste of time because they're just putting, like their business is here and then they start adding another business and it comes here, and it doesn't make sense. The average person, it doesn't make sense. But for me, how I get leverage is like I get a client. What's cool is I'll have clients come in. This is how with two people and they got to be really good CEOs and they got a really unique offer. Because if I bring in someone who's like, let's say you're a great CEO, but you have a fitness offer. It's not that fitness is bad. It's just what's your edge? There's not much of an edge you can get. It's like fitness is fitness is fitness. And so for the average person, yeah. But for me now, I have a big team. So it's like, how can we gain more leverage? And I think I was beating down the door of the consulting for a long time. Now that's taken a back seat a little bit. It's like we still run it and stuff, but it's way smaller than 2 million a month. But now we put all this time and effort into these portfolio companies and those are crushing. And then the cool thing is like nobody knows the companies I own. Like I don't have to be in the ads. Like I'm just like behind the scenes and my team does most of the heavy lifting. So for the average person, can they do that? No. But for me, it makes sense now and I have leverage. Like, people are like, well, how do you do that? It's like, well, I have a team of 40. I used to have a team of 100, so.
That's a very good answer. That also kind of my question. But my idea was like in terms of say like someone who might be listening to this, they would get red shiny object with different strategies and tactics they get. Like, I see people all the time. I'm sure you do get like, they want to do everything.
Yeah. Like the thing is they don't want to admit they suck and they think it's something else. Like I'll get someone who, they get crazy returns on organic. They start running ads. So like, I only had a 6x return. It's like, what do you think you're supposed to get? Well, I get 10 on. I was like, dude, like these people don't know you. You're strangers. So I think a lot of times it's false expectations. Like if I tell you, hey, it's going to take a year to get in shape, you're not going to bat an eye if it takes a year. But if I say you're going to get in shape in 3 days, you're going to get super pissed. I just think a lot of times it's false expectations. So what I try to do up front with clients is also just like, look, this is actually how it works. Like whatever you think in your head or whatever bullshit someone told you, that's not how it works. I think a lot of people just have false expectations personally. I think that's an issue too. With your process and system, like how do you kind of approach like content, leads, and sales? Like what do you kind of do to make that whole wheelhouse turn into clients?
So the biggest thing that I filmed a sick YouTube on we recently called like the spiderweb marketing technique, or essentially we're looking to pull people in from either organic or paid, a lot of paid now, into an ecosystem where we're basically like pushing people out into like YouTube videos, podcasts, into the email list. We've got a school community of like 5,500 trainers. And like we use Hyros so we can then see over a period of time, okay, like what's the attribution when people are buying and like coming through and exactly where they're coming from. And what I find wild when people actually start tracking this stuff is you can see how people have bounced around different things and where they come from. You're like, okay, well, this guy came in from a YouTube video and then got bought from a fucking email. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So like,
do you do straight to page or DMs mostly?
Straight to page.
It tracks better.
DMs tracking is terrible.
You can't track it all. It's basically though, like they'll click something and then they pop up somewhere else. You have to guess how they got there.
Yeah, it's kind of like guessing. And for me, I'm like, if you're trying to spend, I'm like, I just don't like it.
Straight to page is better if you can pull it off. If it works, it's just the downside is it's not like as, I don't want to say like high touch point. So like DMs are higher touch point, but the tracking's worse. Straight to page is better tracking, but it's less touch points.
So this might be a nugget that might help someone listening to this. This is something that we found useful is that with the paid ads, say we're running people to opt-ins, we'll have a Slack channel with like people coming through and we also take their Instagram username. We'll then outbound them. So be like, hey, Tanner, saw you opted in for our 5C course. Just wanted to check you and got an okay.
Right.
So it's almost like a warmer lead to some degree because they've come to us.
Yeah.
And we're just checking, did you get the thing?
Yeah.
So like we're getting followers.
How do you find their Instagrams? Do you put that on the opt-in form?
We put it on the opt-in form.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's smart. What would you say is your biggest growth lever right now? Right. And then what are you doing now, or stop doing now, excuse me, that used to work? So biggest growth lever. And then what have you stopped doing that used to work?
The two biggest things I think used to work. One, we've already spoken about shout out pages.
Yeah,
I think are just kind of pointless, just doesn't do anything. I dabbled and I'm like, it's just terrible. And then secondly would be DM ads. I personally don't find are as effective as they used to be. I would rather just go straight into either like boosted like follower funnels or into like opt-ins.
Where do you run most of your ads?
Most of it to an opt-in, but
what country?
This is interesting. So over the last 3 months, I've seen a shift in terms of what we've started to do is super broad.
Yeah.
In terms of like almost like a worldwide audience of like 25 countries. So, and what seems to be happening is it's just picking people off.
Did you pick those countries or just like
I picked countries. So I'd probably put like the whole of Europe, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Dubai, maybe something like that.
Okay.
And it will just kind of filter through and just kind of pull people in. So that I find is working pretty well. And then like we're pulling people in for like a free course. Mm-hmm. We have the ads manager set up for scheduled calls as the conversion, not actual leads.
Yeah.
So it's trying to optimize for people
for calls. Yeah. So it's a little deeper. Yeah. So something else. Two things. So there's it's not a new company, but these guys who do shout outs, they started a platform called I think it's advertise with a Z.io or something. I don't know if you've heard of it. Anyways, they have all these accounts and it's new, it's beta. So I haven't tested, I'm testing it right now. But apparently it's like Facebook ads for shout out pages. So it's like they're all in a network. You go on there, you put in your stuff, and then it will push you. Yeah. So we'll see. That's interesting. And then the other thing was I'm testing is there's a company called Leadify. Like I'm not affiliated or whatever, but they get your credit score. So what we'll do is we get the credit score of the book calls. And the crazy part is anything pretty much. Here's the funny part. A lot of companies, at least in the US, are like, hey, do you need financing? It's like, no, because they're like, anyone who's above 650, we can get in. I'm like, they don't need your shit, right? It's like, I need financing for the shitty credits. But what's cool is they'll come in and we have a sheet that's like under 650 and over 650. And then what we do is we take that sheet, we make it a lookalike audience. And if you think about it, half the battle is just finding people who can pay. And so anyways, that's just two things.
Does that only work in the US though, I guess?
The credit score? Yeah. Pretty much in the US, if you're above a 650, so to give you context, I have an 800 credit score. It's basically perfect. Paid every bill on time, never gone, stuff like that. 650, it's if it's below that, they just can't get funding because basically it's either they usually it means they don't pay their bills. That's usually what it means because your credit or their credit limits are too high, right? So if you're above a 650, these companies are like, yeah, we can fund you. I'm like, but I don't want your funding because with funding, you're paying that company and then they get a percentage and whatever, but the clients can just get credit cards and you're good to go. So I'm testing right now. The funny thing is when these things start coming out, all these other companies start coming out with it. So I don't think it really matters who you use, but I think we pay $2 or $3 per book call. So say in a month you have just hypothetically 100 book calls, you pay $300 and you got all those credit scores. And then you can over time create lookalike audiences. And on top of that, the sales team, if they get on the call, they can say, well, I see your credit score and you can afford it. They can't give you really any financial objections. It doesn't mean they'll buy, but so far it's been a good experience.
Well, you also know from a closer standpoint how aggressive you can kind of be, whether it's bullshit.
Right. And you can also do the leads, but if you're getting a lot of leads a month, let's say a month you get 3,000 leads. I mean, do you want to pay $9,000 fee? I mean, you can, but for me, I was just like, hey, let's just do calls for now. Let's see if it works. And then we could roll out to leads, but leads is obviously way higher than book calls. So just there's something I thought of as you're talking about that. What would you say to trainers who are, scared of charging premium prices? You probably have this conversation a lot.
The only reason you won't charge premium price is because you won't ask. And ultimately, I think it's an identity shift problem that they don't see the value in it. I also think this is also down to what they're willing to spend. So if you want to charge, say, $3,000 for a fitness program, but you're not willing to spend $3,000 on yourself, that's the reason why you're not willing to set.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me how people have a really hard time spending. Actually, I had a call the other day with I don't take a lot of calls anymore if I can avoid it, just because it's I know what's got. I'm like, dude, just DM me the stuff. But I had a call yesterday with a guy. He's an author, famous author, Neil Strauss, and it's a sales guy. He charges $50,000 a month. So I'm on the call. He's like, yeah, it's $50,000, and I was like, yeah, cool for the year. Yeah, let's do it. And he's like, oh, it's a month. I'm thinking 600,000 a year. Anyways, I want to do the whole year. And ironically, he's like going to ask him and stuff. And I was like, hey, I'll do a month or two. But it's just funny to me because I had a call prior to that with another pretty famous author. And these guys are kind of like, I don't know, relationship space. You could say like masculine relationship space. Anyways, this other guy charges $3,000 for 3 months. Super famous. This other guy charging $50,000 a month. And it's just crazy to see it because I'm like thinking, oh, this guy like needs my coaching. This guy like, fuck. Like, I don't want to meet people who like understand high ticket, but I just think that's the best way to grow.
I could even give a good example. That I did some work last year with a speaking coach. Yeah. And so she initially kind of did like a free consult call with me. Yeah. And I was like, I have no idea what this like I have no idea. So I'm like
what's it charge?
Yeah. I like what's she going to try? I have no idea. So like I'm thinking it's like 10 grand minimum, and it's like $1,500. I'm like, done. Like, yeah. So like but that's also I think where the perceived value of what you charge to who the person is. Yeah. Like the value for me to be better at public speaking on stage is massive. Yeah. So like the upside is worth way more than $50.
Sure. Yeah. I just think also like when you can make a lot of money, like it's just not as scary. So I think that's the other benefit. But yeah, it's crazy to me that some people, I just think like they don't usually like when they're not charging a lot, I think they don't really understand marketing because like they're probably not getting a ton of leads. So because they're not getting a ton of leads, they're trying to sell at a lower price point. I don't know if that's true in that case, but I just have never seen a benefit.
It's the same thing. I think it's scarcity. The same thing I see fitness coaches be like, oh, my closing rate's like 80, 90%. You know, like, yeah, it is because you charge nothing. Like, yeah.
So, well, yeah. And you can always drop the price. That's the thing that makes me laugh is, you know, I learned that over time is that as long as you understand, I call it a price drop. So, you know, if you say, hey, I want to charge 20 grand in a perfect world, but I'm willing to sell it for at least 4. It's like, okay, so that means if you're talking to someone on the phone, you have that entire range to change the price. Some people don't like that, but I personally just think, you know, Christmas, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, New Year's, like these stores are changing the prices. I'm like, if they can't afford it and that's what they have and you figure out what they have, it's like, as long as it's above that number, I'll sell it. And I found, you know, teaching people that makes them a lot more money as long as they're okay with it. Because if you sell at 20 and anyone who comes under and they're like, well, I'll do 16, I'll do 12, I'll do 14, I'll do 8. Oh, no, it doesn't work. I'm like, you're getting $0 instead of 8. And once you have a big enough team, the cool part is like, you're not doing the fulfillment. So who gives a shit? Right? When you're doing the fulfillment, it matters. But if you have a team, who gives a shit? I've just never understood that, to be honest.
It's the way I think about it is it's like you're putting money back into the machine that you can then go get other better prospects, even if you sell at a slight discount rate just to get that person. Yeah. Or it's making the ads profitable, so then you can spend.
Right. So if you charge 10, but you only sell for 5, it's like then all those leads for $5,000, let's say it's 200 leads, are free. Mm. And it's like if one of those people pays the top price, like I've just that's how I've always thought. It's a numbers game, and I think some people get like way too emotional, personally. Okay, so you know, if you have a personal trainer and the guy's making $5K a month and he wants to scale to $50K a month, what would you tell them they usually need to do, or what are things they usually need to do for the listeners?
It depends on who they are and the kind of target market and platform based. Everyone I recommend should use Instagram. If you're looking to try and target higher level people, or maybe you're slightly older, like 30 plus, I recommend LinkedIn is really easy in terms of organic reach right now.
Really? So you like LinkedIn?
We had like 2 inbound messages yesterday from me just like fucking around posting stuff.
Interesting, bro.
So for
I'm
me,
I'm not a LinkedIn fan.
So for me, it reminds me a bit of like OG Instagram, where like you used to be able to put like a photo of me with abs, and like people would just message me asking for like guidance. Yeah. So like that would be if you want to target kind of like wealthier people and charge higher prices. I think for most fitness trainers, the number one reason they are stuck is obscurity. No one knows who they are. So like you need to get traffic like inbound from you, which is going to be via creating content. So like how are you going to create top of funnel traffic towards you? And then B would just be like message those people. And then the C part of it would literally be starting to actually run ads pretty much from day one and they're just like boosting reels, just pull people through.
Does the average person you talk to think like kind of how I thought back in the days, you just put a link in your bio and it's like, you'll be rich?
100%. Or like, so this is the biggest thing. And you see my passion for frustration with this. Is that people obsess over a fucking website. It's like, bro, no one cares about your website. You don't need a website. Like, just literally, you need a way to get someone on a call and Zoom, and that's it.
The only benefit of a website is if you go to, like, let's say an event and you're meeting people, and they're like, well, where can I find them? Like, go to, I'll say, go to eliteCEOs.com, and then you can book a call, right? Like, there's that. So you're not like, oh, go to, like, Instagram.com /, like, but to your point, for the average person, it's like, bro, like, it just does not matter.
And that's why I think most people overcomplicate this. It's literally get traffic, get people in conversation, get them on a call.
The crazy part for me is like, so back in the day, the guys I looked up to was like Steve Cook. I don't know if you remember Steve Cook, and like I remember Bradley Martin, and I just remember thinking, oh, like these guys are super successful and rich, and so I was trying to, you know, like become super famous fitness influencer, and then I started, you know, realizing over time, I was like, dude, this is just like dating, like meaning. If you talk to 100 girls, you're going to get probably 10 numbers or whatever. It's just funny. People are like, well, I don't want to talk to any girls. I'm like, well, then you're not going to get any numbers. To me, it's just, how can you get leads, no matter if it's outbound, inbound, ads, organic, whatever. And then it's just a numbers game, and you know, X amount of those leads will convert, and then you're going to get X amount of sales. It's just interesting. People get very emotional, but it's not emotional at all. It's just logical. You know, it's just numbers.
So I would also say that the big thing that people screw up once they got out, let's say that 5 to 10K a month stage in their business, is then, based upon what you said there, is they don't track those numbers. They have absolutely no idea. And I'm like, dude, like you're like, it's like flying a plane blindfolded. Like you have no idea which way you're going.
The funniest part, I don't know if you noticed this. I mean, I get men and women as clients, and with women, what makes them good is they're very anxious. Like they're always like kind of worried, and they're like high strung a little bit. But what makes them the worst is like they get anxious, and I'm like, it's not emotional. It's just numbers. I think when you can start to take the emotion out of business and you just go by the numbers, it makes it so much easier. It's just, I think a lot of people, they have a hard time separating that. So like something isn't working and they're like, it's not working. I don't know what to do. It's like, okay, but like, what are your numbers? I don't have the numbers. Okay. So you don't know what to do. That's why you're stressed out. But if you just have the numbers and you look at the numbers, it's really easy. I don't know if like you've seen that with male clients as much, but I see it all the time with women clients.
I see it across the board. I think women are generally better at tracking data. And I would actually say for anyone who listens to this, I personally think if you feel anxious about your business, the best thing you can do is just have all the fucking numbers in front of you. Just look at it.
Yeah.
Like I remember in 2022, we had just done $300,000, I think the month before in December on my fitness business. Yeah. And I then 6th of January decided I was going to move to Dubai. I was getting divorced. I was in a hotel in the
UK.
I
didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah. So
how old are you, by the way?
35.
Yeah. I mean, you could go for younger. Well, we'll get inside the site. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I was sitting in a hotel in Kingston, and my Instagram account got disabled, which was like 80% of my revenue then. Yeah, so like my personal life is fucked. I'm moving to the other side of the world. My business is now shit. And I'm like, well, this kind of sucks. So I remember just like sitting there, and actually the irony, I was about to speak on a massive podcast beforehand. It was like the fucking worst thing I've ever, literally like a minute
right before you go in, you hear bad news.
Literally. And I've got that like embarrassing photo of me holding the number with like to Instagram. It's not good. But the positive was that I remember literally the next day just sitting down, like working out all the numbers of my business. Okay, without that Instagram account, can we still make money? I was like, okay, cool. We can from LinkedIn, we can from this, we can from this. So I was like, it's not going to end. And then it actually forced my hand to get really good at running paid ads because I had to. I had no other choice. I then got the account back like 3 weeks later, but that wasn't guaranteed.
By the way, just as a random, there, you know, I've had my Instagram disabled and all this stuff, and there's usually underground guys. And what I found is they're usually middlemen. So like they know someone on Instagram and you pay them a fee and then they get a cut. Where there's actually a site I've used recently called Swapped.
Okay.
And it's called, let me see, SWAPD. Okay. And it's basically like you go on there and people have their services, but it tells you the price. You put the money in escrow, and then once the service is completed, the site pays it out.
That's pretty good.
That's what I'm using now. I'm like, dude, I wish I found this way. And the prices are crazy. Like I just paid, we'll see if it works, but I just paid $500 to verify one of my other Instagram accounts because like the meta verification is not there. For $500, that's fine. Usually I've paid $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. I mean, and you know, and then because these middlemen have no control, you ask them for an update. They're like, you know, and they're just talking out of their ass. I don't know if that's been your experience, but
dude, I mean, this is another wild story. I had an issue last summer where one of my competitors was paid a hacker to hack my Instagram account and also our client's Instagram account.
That's so weird.
And then I was getting blackmailed. They're trying to blackmail me for 30,000 euros. I was getting like calls from like these guys been like, oh, you need to pay us, blah, blah.
Did you know like it was actually like who it was actually?
I have a very good indication. And,
but you're not for sure.
95%. But this is how messed up it was. We went to Facebook. We're like, this is going on. They're like, there's nothing we can do about it. You need to go to the police in Ireland, which is where Meta is in Europe. We went to the police and they were literally like, you can take matters into your own hands. I'm like, well, that's fucking helpful. So fortunately I had a hacker on my side who just kept like getting my account back within 30 minutes. But like your account goes down, all the ads go down.
Yeah.
But then, bro, what's even more fucked up is they were doing it to our clients because they were a client of ours. So like this was like a year ago. It's fucking wild.
So this person doing it was a previous client?
No, they weren't.
Oh, okay.
But that's why I think
that stuff in the industry is like weird to me.
That's where I think, obviously you've been in the space a long time as well. Once you've gone through all these things, like at the time it's shit. I'm like 12 months later, it's probably gonna be fun. They're not funny.
Yeah. The reality is usually when you're going through bad stuff is like try to, think 5 years out. Like you're not going to care in 5 years, but it does suck during that time. Okay. So a little bit going to the dark side, getting to more of your personal life. So I didn't know you were married before.
Yeah.
Is that what made you move to Dubai? Is that part of like what?
That's not what made. So like the reason that kind of relationship ended is I was from a small area in the UK, and it was kind of like that big fish, small pond syndrome. Whereas like I wanted to go off and go big time and just fucking full send and kind of see what happens. She wanted to stay in the same town where she was like family originally from. Like I don't want to live in the same town for the entirety of my life. So for me, I was like, okay, this kind of isn't going to work, and it's making that difficult decision at that point. Like that was like a 10-year relationship.
What was like? I'm curious. Like, why was she against that? Like,
that's family, like same thing most women are. So it's like I was like, Dubai's like 6 hours away. You can fly. It's not far. So that was a very challenging time, but I also think that was also one of the things. Actually, when I first moved to Dubai, I was like on the warpath, probably from like an emotional standpoint as well. Of like, I remember getting a whiteboard and like writing $1 million a month and being like every fucking strategy I could think of. I hired every single person I could think of for like webinar strategies, email, like it was a fucking disaster. But I was highly motivated from it. So I think that's one of the things I always say to myself, like, and even a psychological thing in my head of like, if you're willing to do this, then you're willing to do like whatever it takes to try and go where you want to be.
Did you have any kids from that previous marriage?
No.
Yeah, you lucked out. And then you're having a kid soon, like
so I've got a long time partner now, and she's due in 3 months' time.
Good for you.
So that's been a big perspective shift.
How so?
I think it's made me elongate my time horizons of the way I think, maybe. So I would say just not taking less risk, maybe, but maybe like don't go all in on certain things, like investment wise, maybe as much.
Like what type of investment?
Oh, like crypto or stupid. Like, don't. Maybe in the past before I've been not like when you use the term reckless, but like just.
Okay, so let's a different question. What's kind of your stance in the girl world? Like you're a big jack guy. You probably get a lot of girls. You got the Andrew Tate, methodology. You've got, other people just with one girl. I mean, we're in Dubai. I mean, some people here have 4 wives. Whatever. I could care less. I'm always fascinated by how people think. So what's kind of your stance in the girl world of like either how a guy should be or like what you've learned?
My personal opinion is men are there to protect and provide. Yeah. I'm very traditional in that kind of thing. Like if women want to work and do their thing, then that's cool. But I think it kind of depends on maybe what you're exposed to. That's probably what my father was like. And you naturally tend to emulate your parents, I think. And I'm kind of in a similar boat. Like people can do whatever you want. Like there's people I know here who have multiple girlfriends and do all kinds of weird shit. I'm like, that's cool. You do what do you. And actually, that's one of the things that I would say that with Dubai, you can, in the Middle East in general, it's actually a lot more liberal than people probably realize in terms of like, you can do a lot more stuff that's probably more frowned upon.
Would you say it's if they're Muslim? Right, like if they're
even like Westerners, dude. So
really,
like it's
but like what is their justification for? Is it just like other than they just want to do it?
Just want to do it. Just kind of it is what it is. So I think there's, in my opinion, I think having a stable relationship as an entrepreneur helps you because it gives you a stable home life. Whereas I think for men in particular, one of the things that's most easy to distract men with is women, because the amount of time you can waste chasing them, fucking around, like it can be a massive distraction.
Yeah, my stance is, so I grew up pretty religious, I would say, and then I came into money like 27 is when I started coming to some good money, and I was pretty much head down in my 20s. Like I didn't really talk to girls, and then coming to some money, you're over 6 feet tall, you're in decent shape. Like a lot of girls start showing up. I mean, it's been interesting. Like my opinion shifts a lot, but I think, at least my opinion is like, I think there's a very particular girl I like. And what I've at least seen is those girls seem not to be, I mean, I would say 8 out of 10 girls, they're not really okay with like multiple partners. And I don't know if I've really seen anyone who's done it successfully. So I think it looks good on paper. There's a book I was reading by Neil Strauss. I brought him up. Like, I think he said something in the book that really resonated. He said like, non-monogamy on paper looks great because like, yeah, everyone like do their thing, everyone's happy, no big deal, but like emotionally it's a shit show. And that's what I've seen is even if they agree to it, if you love them, like it just hurts them. Like they don't really want, like they don't want.
But then that's also hurting you at the same time,
right?
If you see they're hurt, and then it's kind of fucking with you.
Yeah. If you're a good guy, like there's some guys I just don't think they give a fuck. But if you actually love your girl, so I think what's crazy is, I mean, it's funny because I'll talk to some friends and they're like, dude, like you're kind of like a dipshit over here, but you're really smart at business. You just need to like, use your smarts. But I think the reality is just, unless like, if you're religious, you have a different belief, that's fine. Like, I think if you're going to do it and you're Muslim and you believe like, I think it's like 4 wives or whatever, that would make sense. But I think other than that, you just have to make a decision at some point. Like, do you want the novelty or do you want the stability? Because I just personally have not seen it. I've seen a few guys like back in, Miami in the States, they do it. But like to be frank, like I'll look at the girls, I'm like, dude, like these girls are like 3s or 4s.
Yeah, I know someone like that.
Right.
Like,
and then, so it's like, they do 3 times 3 and it's a 9. I'm like, that's not how I see it, anyways, I think probably the way you're doing it is the right way. I think it's hard though, at least for me. I think the reason it's been harder for me to get to that point is like as a guy, when you don't have a lot in your 20s, like you basically have to earn your way as like the man. Like you got to make a ton of money. You got to get jacked. You got to be like respectful, whatever. You get to this point and then you want to enjoy it. Kind of like, like let's say Andrew Tate, you're like, yeah, like I'm here. Like I want to have all the girls, all the cars, all the money, all the things, all the clothes. And then the world's like, yeah, like, no, you got to be an adult. And I think that was really hard for me. I think maybe because I was like raised super religious. I don't know if that was for you, but for me, I think that was why I fought it for a while, because I was like, no, fuck that shit. Like I worked so hard to get here. And now like I get here and everyone tells me to grow up or whatever. Like, did you have any like thing like that? Or has it just been pretty like easy?
I've always been pretty stable in terms of relationship. And that's why I try to keep my like head down. But I think I see it a lot, in particular with some of the close friends of mine who have that. And I think it's also probably been one of the things that's maybe held them back a lot, but also like led them like multiple girls. Yeah. And stuff like that. And also like probably led them to more pain than it's probably worth kind of longer term, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think, dude, sometimes I think this, because I'm not super religious. I think if, because I don't have bad intentions, I just sometimes think, why did God, make me this way, or someone made me this way, if like it just hurts a bunch of girls, and every guy has different levels. But I think the hard thing is when it's like loyalty. People talk about they're loyal and stuff, but it's way harder when a girl wants you, who's beautiful, and you say no, than like, you're a 4-foot, chubster, and like girls don't like you. And, so probably someone in your position, you've had those opportunities. And I think that's when you actually can see, like, are you actually loyal? Because there's a lot of guys who talk about, oh, I'm loyal. It's like, dude, like they don't like you.
Well, because they don't have any other option.
Right. They don't have any options. But I think when you have options and you like choose that other path, like that, to me, that's I'm like, bro, that's impressive, because I think that's a lot harder thing to do and commit when you have other options. Like there's 10, 20 other girls out there who would want to be with you, but you're picking this girl. If that makes sense. Yeah.
I also think one of the big problems I think a lot of men can run into when they get some success is they sometimes get bored. And that's where women come into the table sometimes. And I don't know if that resonates at all.
No, it's 100%. I think I don't get too woo-woo, but I think sometimes like when things are really good, it's like I'm always looking for a problem. Like I'm a solver.
Fuck me, bro, 100%.
Yeah, like I'm a solver. So if things are like too good, I think I've sabotaged things in the past where it's like, dude, just let it be good. Do
you think you've done that from a business perspective before as well?
Not really, dude. Okay. Like it's weird in business. I'm just so by the numbers. But the funny thing is, like in relationships, some of my good buddies are like, dude, like if you just treated relationships like business, you'd crush, but you like overthink. Like they'll say to me, they're like, what would you tell your client if he said, if you were like, hey, you need to do this, they're like, but what if it doesn't work? What about this? They're like, dude, just shut the fuck up and do it. And we'll go from there. I think I do that sometimes in relationships where like I'm thinking like 3 or 4 moves ahead, but it's like, dude, just like commit to the girl, do this, like go from that point. Yeah, it's not, I think personally, it's not been worth it. I think I've gotten a little bit more clarity recently. I think I've tried to do that. Like I've never actually had like, multiple girlfriends at the same time, but I think like I've tried to like I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way, but I've looked into it. Like I've thought about it. I've kind of like talked to girls about it. And I think it's nice when you can be really open with your partner. Like you can tell them kind of, stuff people would shame you for, but I don't think I don't know if it exists.
Have you read the book, The Rational Male?
Yeah.
So like they obviously talk about sexual market value in that. So like peak women is like 20 to 22 are the most fertile and attractive. And like men is kind of like mid 30s where you're like still in shape. Your wealth and status is kind of growing. So it's like that disparity as I think guys get slightly older. Well,
that's why women usually date up. I mean, that's why you always see women date up. But yeah, we can talk about it all day, but it's very interesting. But that's cool that you've done that. And I respect it because for me, I've met kind of both sides of the coin. And, when I look at like, let's say Andrew Tate, he's been successful. So like do whatever you want, bro. But like I don't think he has relationships with the girls. Like you can't, especially if you have that many girls. So, I feel like you can either have like one girl and go really deep. You can have a lot of girls and be kind of shallow. But like sometimes I wish I didn't care. I think my issue is I care so much, like how someone feels. And so over time, if you see that girl's getting hurt, I can't do it. Like, I just can't like, okay, all right, you're, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like, okay, Friday, I see you on Friday. That's your day. It's just, I just feel bad. And, I guess that's probably a good thing. It'll probably lead me down a better path. But anyways, okay. So moving on from that, I just was curious, like on your standpoint, what, in terms of being successful, what would you say was a part of identity you had to kill in order to grow, if anything?
Part of the identity I had to grow to try and
you had to kill.
Oh, sorry,
like maybe something you thought about yourself that you had to get rid of that thing.
The biggest, I think, identity anyone needs to kill to be successful is they're not good enough or like you're not worthy. And for me, I think I just looked at like brute force violence of like, at what point is it impossible I can't be successful with this? It's the same thing of like we're really focused on trying to grow long form content. It's like, at what point is it impossible that a fucking YouTube channel will not grow? We're just like war of attrition. And I think business and life is like a lot of that. Like who can continue to get kicked in the dick the most and just keep going and keep turning up? That's kind of the way I'd think about it. So I think for me, it was like realizing it's okay, it's difficult, but if it's hard, then obviously it's going to be hard for other people. It's why they're not going to make it. And just realizing you have to just kind of go through it regardless, because it's kind of like we said earlier, like people want everything to be easy and everyone just to get to the end result straight away. Like it never works like that. So that's kind of been my thought process of just like killing the weaker version of you, of just kind of fucking man up and just get on with it anyway. And you have to kind of kill, in my opinion, the emotional side of you to deal with that and just be like super logical, almost like, which is probably why you've done well from the numbers perspective, is like kind of, it's like the Layla Hormozes thing. It's like, fuck your feelings and follow the plan or whatever it is.
Yeah. Layla's a beast, by the way. But yeah, I think that's the best mentality, because like for YouTube, I think I got 30,000 subs, but I've posted like 1,600 videos. So it's actually terrible. It's like I get 20 subscribers a video or something like that. So, but the thing is, I'm willing to do it for the next 10 years. I think a lot of people come into the game and they say, I want this, but I only want to do this and I want it this way. And it's like, that's not how it works. Like, for example, like getting a great body is like, you can't choose what you're going to do. It's like you either do it or not. And so I think that's what helps people be successful. Cause like even my most successful clients, they just do. They're not like worried about how long it takes or what they have to do. They just do the things. I think too many people, they have too many stipulations. Like, I'm willing to be successful if, and then they have this whole list. It's like, that's why you're not successful.
So the one thing that says, I don't care. I'll do whatever it takes.
Right.
Like, I literally don't care. Like, if you say like run for a wall, like which one? Like how many times? Like that's kind of the mentality. And I think that's right. And you'll see it as well. I can see when they come to us straight away, I can see the people who will do well and the people who won't based upon the language that they use. And they're like, if we're having to try and hard sell you and push you into growing your own business, you will fail, because the person over here who's willing to do it regardless of how they fucking feel is going to absolutely slaughter you.
Yeah. It's mentality. Like I had a client, they were PTs and they wanted to move. They actually came to me and they said, hey, I want to franchise it. And I was like, yo, I don't think that's a good idea, because it's just super long timeline. They went online. They went zero to like $100,000 in 30 days. They're freaks. Their whole IGs, Facebook, everything got shut down. So, and they had just gotten there. So 3 or 4 weeks, and they had like leveraged themselves really heavy because they paid us a ton of money to come in. And it was kind of one of those situations like, are you guys sure? Because I think you can do it, but it's like, this is very ballsy.
Touch and go,
yeah, it's very ballsy. And anyways, they almost like kind of got to the end. They got stuff flipped back on, and then they went back to, now they're at like $200,000 a month in 60 days. And like, I just was like, you guys realize like, that's not normal, like your mentality. And they were like, yeah, dude, it's fine. Like, no big deal. Like, we'll get through it. And I think it didn't even faze them. Like, they didn't care.
So they're American, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
Big culture
Yeah,
difference, right?
it's a weird thing in the UK. If you say, "Hey, how to make 4,000 a month," they believe you, but how to make $1 million, they don't.
So people in the UK, and one of the reasons why I moved to Dubai is they're very small-minded in terms of thinking.
Yeah.
So they also think everything is a scam. They're very skeptical and they generally don't want to invest themselves. And I can say that as I'm a British person. Yeah. Whereas I see like Americans are much more kind of cavalier and kind of gung-ho and go for it, which is why I think in the US, people are, if you start a business and they fail, they have a huge amount of respect for you because you gave it a try. Whereas in the UK, people really talk down upon you. So
why is that? So like if you try and you fail, they talk down on you, or just you try in general?
It's like, I think they call it like tall poppy syndrome. I think in Australia, it's the same kind of thing. It's like they don't want anyone to get above their kind of station. So it's almost frowned upon if you become too successful.
I was weird day one. I remember the first guy I saw, like when I started getting the online game, was Billy Jean. You know Billy Jean? Yeah. And Billy Jean, like, no disrespect to him, like, but at the time, I remember looking at him and I was like, how is this chubby, bald guy, like, if he can do it, like, why can't I do it? And it was like in a good way. I wasn't like looking down on him. I just was like, why? What does he know that I don't? But you go to the comment section and it's just people are just like, you suck. You like this. I just like, I never have thought that way ever. And I just think it's weird because people, I think it makes people feel bad. But to me, I'm like, yeah, like I should feel bad because I'm in this shit sandwich position. And it makes me want to be better. I think most people, they don't want to confront that.
Well, I also think that's why some people don't necessarily like to buy, because it triggers a lot of insecurity in them in terms of like extreme wealth. So like they don't feel good enough. Whereas other people will come here and be super inspired because they'll be like, oh, look at these supercars, look at the big houses, look at X, look at Y.
Yeah, like, I don't know how it's to be because there's always someone who's going to be better than you. So to me, I like surrounding myself with those types of people who want to grow. In fact, I just recently had a whole shift in my friend group. And I just realized, like, even my brothers, they told me for a while, they're like, bro, like, those people are not good for you because they don't want to do shit. Like, you're just like, you're the most ambitious person in your friend group. At least, like, I would say close circle. Like, because, you have friends, but, like, they live in different states and stuff or countries. But, yeah, once I got rid of them, I felt like it was like I got rid of dead weight because it was just like a take relationship. And it's not bad. It's just, like, they weren't providing any value to my life. It was just, like, talking about stupid shit or girls or whatever. And I'm just like, dude, I want to grow.
Why do you think so many people are afraid to cut those people off? I wouldn't even use the word cut off, but kind of like,
yeah, because you got to start over. I mean, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't even say, I think, at least for me, I think I feel bad. Like I'm a bad guy or something, or, it's like, oh, they're not doing what you do. So you got to cut them off. But the reality is like, you just only have so much time in the day. And I think most people, I think that's what makes life challenging and why we all want like connection in a relationship is because most people, like, they come into your life and then they're gone. Like, that maybe it's a 5-year window or a 2-year window. I think probably, like they were my friends and we met at a good time and then you kind of outgrow them. And so you don't really know when is enough or maybe you're saying, oh, like they don't do the same things as me. It's totally fine. But at least what I found is I just don't do well with people who are not growth minded. Right. And they don't want to grow. Like some of my better friends, like, they do weird stuff. Like this guy in Miami, his name's Sohab. He gets up at 3 a.m. I think it's over the top, but it's like he gets up at 3 a.m. He has a super strict regimen. Like he wants to grow, and so it makes me like excited when I talk to him. Versus other people, oh yeah, like I hooked up with this girl or I did this thing. I'm like, bro, I'm in my 30s. I don't care. Like if you hook up with girls, like sometimes I think it's weird. Like the guys even talking about it. I'm like, do you like girls or you just want like me to think you like girls? And that's at least my take.
The reason I smiled just reminded me of something. It's maybe about 18 months ago where I went to like a friend of my partner's had like a baby shower. I remember some guy who was like semi-drunk trying to flex on me about how he got promoted at his job. I was like, dude, I literally just don't give a fuck. Like I literally just don't give a fuck. Because like I haven't spoken to I don't speak to people generally who don't run their own business. And my partner, her name's also Charlie, looked at me like seeing I was just like dying inside. Like,
I've been all over the world and I've ran so many ads that every place I've gone to, especially gyms, someone will know me. And I remember one time I was in Brazil for Carnival and we're at this place called Green Valley in Camboriú, Brazil. It's pretty sick. And it's like one of the biggest clubs in the world. You can look it up. And I remember I'm just having a good time and I'm just trying to decompress. And, some guy like that situation, they come up to me and they start talking business. And I'm just like, bro, I'm like, and I don't drink a lot and that type of thing, but I'm probably like 3 or 4 drinks deep. And I'm just like, dude, I just like, this is not the time, but I'm trying to be nice. That just reminded me of that when you said that, because I'm like, dude, I just don't give a fuck like right now. Just like, let me decompress. But I think it goes back to like, it's okay. Like I understand, like, you know, they probably just want to connect and whatever, but yeah, like getting validation, it's like, I just don't care at all. Or I don't think like you need to get validation like from other people. Just be happy with like what you're doing. Okay. Shifting a little bit to kind of your fitness regimen. Cause obviously, you know, for people who are watching this on video, like you're in super great shape. So what does your training protocol kind of look like? And maybe how has it evolved over the years, if any?
So ironically, actually, I spoke to someone who has made a big mistake this recently, but I wanted to try and become like an IFBB pro maybe like 2 years ago. It's kind of like my status.
Oh, no shit.
Stupid idea. I was like, competing.
You're big. I think you're big enough though. Like me, like you see me now, like I'm pretty lean, but I'm 200 pounds at 6'2". I'm too small.
Yeah. I put on like a pile of muscle mass to kind of do it. And then I suddenly realized like, I actually don't want to do this anymore. And I kind of took the fun out of it. So the irony is then when I stopped having that actual mindset, I then actually started to prove way, way quicker because I was just actually enjoying working out and just doing things I wanted to do. So in terms of what I do now, I try and get the most from the least. So I work out 4 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
Really?
So like for me, like with weights anyway.
Not that much.
No. So like for me, working out's like my time off kind of thing. So like I like to do the weekend, I have the rush. You can eat a load more food at the weekend. So I'll train Tuesday, do like chest, shoulders. Thursday, do back. Saturday, I do legs. Sunday, I do shoulders and arms. So, and then I'll also push a lot more on my food, like calories around the weekend. So I'll have maybe like 4,500, 5,000 calories the weekend. Jesus. And then during the week, maybe like 3,000 kind of.
You're a big boy, bro. It's like 4,000 or 5,000 calories. That'd be bad as shit.
To be honest, I probably going to start to rein it in. The only downside I'd say from the food thing at that level is it just makes you feel shitty. Like, so what happens is my weight goes up to like 230, 232 by Monday. And by Friday, it's back down to like 225 again.
Jesus.
And then what I'm also trying to do at the moment is get as like aerobically fit as possible. So I've started,
Any reason?
A challenge. Yeah. And just like feel better. So like I can move much better. I play a lot of like paddle and stuff like that. So we do runs on like Wednesday night around the Palm at like, like, you know, like when you just do hard shit, it's like 45 degrees outside. Yeah. Like you literally just sweat like 2 kilos out. So for me, it's like kind of pushing myself. I really like to try and push the recovery aspect though. For me is, and I think I mentioned to you this in Vegas about like cerebral icing. Yeah. So like weird peptides and stuff to try and like improve recovery performance. Like how can you be like a maximal human being in kind of like every area is kind of what I want to.
Yeah. You saw me be super. Yeah. You saw me peak concussion, dude. I was completely fucked when I was at that event. What are like 2 to 3 things you do for mental clarity and focus? If anything different, like if it's just like, hey, sleep well, whatever, but like, is there anything specific you do?
For me, from like mental clarity, for focus, I would say is actually just trying to stay off your fucking phone. So that I think is the hardest thing, in my opinion, actually to try and do now is not to like wake up and want to go on fucking Slack and like, how much money we made this morning, or like look at crypto because you're getting like constant fucking dopamine spikes or crashes. So I think trying to pull that out is one thing, and just giving your time to actually to like sit down and think. Like I went yesterday and had a coffee and sat for an hour and a half and just wrote out like, what do I want to do the next 10 years? What do I want to do the next 12 months? What do I do the next 3 months? Like actually spend time thinking and trying to evaluate where you are and where you want to go, and also why. Because one of the things I've also found is that I've wanted maybe the materialistic things, and then when I've got them, I'm like, I feel fucking no different. Like nothing has changed. Yeah. And
can relate.
That's a very empty feeling I'd kind of explain. I don't know if that kind of feels similar. So for me, I think that's the big thing, is just like realizing probably what is actually important to you. So you start to build like the business and life that's important to you, not the one that fucking Instagram says you should have.
It's probably similar to girls. And this is why I think I get some shit from my friends. Cause like I started buying like Lamborghinis and all that type of thing. That's fine. But it's like once you get it, your kind of dopamine comes back down to baseline, and then you got to get more. So it's never enough. And it's probably very similar with women. So I think the key in life is like learning enough discipline to be okay. Like you want to grow and develop and stuff, but I think it's just being okay knowing like, hey, getting more is not going to change anything. I think I'm not sure what the whole grand design is. You know, people get all religious and talk about God, but that's to me, I think where you have to get, because if you're always wanting more, it just never is enough, because like you always will reset your dopamine.
So one of the things I think about a lot, I was actually thinking this morning. So I just moved to the Palm and live on the beach. So I go for a walk in the morning. Yeah. And I was literally just thinking like, where was I 5 years ago? Yeah. Like just try and like remember the problems and like things you had then compared to where you are now. And I think that's one of the best reframes for people, because people who are very performance driven, they want to kind of like keep improving. Like you're always living in the future, and then the future like just keeps getting knocked down the road until happiness gets there. And I think it's trying to bring that happiness into the present, or maybe almost like giving yourself permission to be proud of what you've maybe done at this point, which I think sometimes if you used maybe pain to fuel you is maybe a difficult thing to allow yourself to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What's something, just talking about getting in shape, like what's the big thing most people get wrong, like you would say?
Right, they just eat too much food and just don't understand. Like in my opinion, and I see you do this a lot, the fastest way to lose body weight and to get leaner is just to like actually do fasting maybe 1 to 2 days a week, or just 2 days a week, don't eat until like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then it's actually quite difficult to like not eat.
It's also just mentally easier. Like when you fast a day, I'll usually lose 2 pounds. If I do a 5-day fast, I'll go down 10 pounds. Now you can make the argument, water this or whatever, but like when you're seeing the scale move, it's super motivating. What I think a lot of people mess up is 500 calories a day. Oh. It's like you lose 1 pound a week. I'm like, bro, that's not motivating at all. It's like, in fact, it's the opposite. I'm like, fuck this. It's not even moving.
Well, it's the same reason why I said fitness trainers. Like when you get a client, the same thing like when we work people business, you want to get people quick results. Otherwise they're gonna be like, fuck this shit. So if you're fat and overweight and then I tell you to eat chicken, broccoli and rice and you hate it and nothing changes in a week, you're not going to continue. So like you have to get people quick results. And I think that's where momentum is just the biggest thing I think that everyone kind of needs. And I'm always like an extremist. I'd rather go like full on kind of over the top or kind of like pull back in periods of time. And I kind of see the year even like that from like a business perspective, a training perspective. So even now, for example, I'll take maybe like a full week off, well, not a week, maybe 5 days where I won't train maybe every 8 weeks or so, where my body just tends to get battered. But then I actually look way better after that period of time because my body's just like recovered.
Yeah, I think I pushed a little too hard because I had my concussion and then I put on like 30 pounds like 2 weeks and now like I'm back down and I just started taking BPC 157, TB 500 because like my joints I think are hurting because like I've been getting stronger but I've been losing weight and I've been pushing like way too hard. But it's also crazy to see. It's probably taken me like 2-3 months because I'm pretty aggressive, but like 2-3 months to lose that weight. But it took me 2 weeks to put it back on. It's crazy because I just think that there's no limit to eating. Like you can eat in a surplus indefinitely, but even if you fast, you can only burn so much per day. It's just interesting to me to see that. For sure.
I'd say, obviously you got one as well. So I was a big advocate of the Oura Ring, but I've recently been converted to Whoop. Like, okay. So something that kind of shocked me is like how few calories you also burn from weight training on
your own. You don't burn shit.
It's literally like nothing. If I go for like a run, it's like 800 to 1,000. I'm like, this is literally insane. So I think if you understand basic math, it's like literally calories in versus calories out.
I just think we overeat. Like even now, the shape I'm in, like here's my day yesterday. I got up and I'm still adjusting to Dubai time, but I got up, I had my first meal at like 3. Usually what I'll try to do is if I'm having 2 meals, I'll get like 100 grams of protein and then just like, basically very low carbs. And then I went to dinner and I kind of, I still like, I don't weigh it, but like I can kind of look and tell. And that's like all you need. Like I just think we way overeat, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, coffee, all this shit. Or like I see people in Starbucks at the airport and it's like crazy. I'm like, dude, that's like an 800 calorie drink. And it's fine if that's what you want to do. It's just, I don't think we need as much as like we eat. Like, I think life is so easy now that we just way overeat. I mean, if we lived back a couple hundred years ago, it's like we'd kill an animal, eat, and then it's like, all right, like probably won't eat for like 5 days. And that's what I'm assuming. I just think this stuff is so accessible now. It's crazy.
Well, also, there's a lot of work to that. And this is actually one of the things that always just shocks me when you go to the US. You don't see like super obese people here. One of the things that like broke my mind. So for anyone who's a fitness trainer, while you will never run out of money, I went to Universal Studios in California, and I was literally like, what the fuck is this? Like the amount of people who are like 400, 500 pounds plus or on like mobility scooters. I'm like,
what's crazy to me is like, even when I'm at my worst shape. So like, after the concussion, I was probably pushing 222, 225. And that for me is fat. Like I'm like probably 15 to 17% body fat max. Like I probably was less, but I'm eating like an asshole, like horrible. And I still like, if you eat like an asshole, but you still work out, like you still will look like better than 80, 90% of people. What's crazy to me is these people are literally not working out at all and eating like they're fucking running a marathon. And they just keep doing it. And I'm like, I don't understand how you can put on that much. It blows my mind, honestly.
So this is also what I find shocking is how bad you probably felt at that point. They feel like that every fucking day. So like if I eat like a load of shit food like one night, the next day I wake up and I feel terrible. That's their normal existence. And this is the problem is most people don't know what feeling good feels like. So like that's kind of the goal is like how can you kind of be peak state all the time performance wise? And if anyone's an entrepreneur, like your success is determined on how you think and how you feel. So like if you're feeling like shit and you can't think properly, you won't be as successful as you could be.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. It's, at least I'm glad it's easy for me. Like, I'm glad fitness is not something I struggle with. Okay. So shifting a little bit to more of kind of like your worldview, beliefs, philosophy. What's your view on masculinity right now in like 2025? Like what does it mean to be kind of a strong man, so to speak?
In my opinion, I think masculinity in 2025, what it should be versus what's probably pushed as it should be. I think the world has gone through a pussification of men where I think this has changed a bit in the US with maybe Donald Trump coming in and some of like the wokeism starting to get pushed out. But like the UK and Europe is like the most feminine thing you've ever seen from like a leadership standpoint, which is why they have massive problems in terms of the way the countries are run, why it's almost like kind of anti-capitalist to a lot of degrees. So I think, in my opinion, masculinity is you firstly understanding that you have to be selfish to be selfless. You have to make yourself the greatest version of you so you can give back and then help other people. It's like they say on planes, when a plane's crashing, you got to put your oxygen mask on first. Like you don't survive, you can't help other people. So that'd probably be the first thing. But if you were to say that, that's kind of against what societal norm of like men need to put themselves first so they can help other people. Yeah. So I think being able to provide financially is a big thing. Being able to physically provide and protect, I think, is the big thing. And I think kind of actually being present, I think, is the third one. I think being present is probably the most difficult thing for entrepreneurs maybe listening to this might resonate with, because we have so many ideas and things going around in our head. Like you'll be out with your partner and you're thinking about, I just got this idea for this ad, I could run this targeting. Like your brain just goes off on like the spectrum sometimes. So that's kind of my opinion.
What are maybe 3 values that like you'll hang your hat on? So, someone offers you a ton of money and like, let's say it's against those values. Do you have anything where you're just like, yo, I won't cross this line, or like, this is really important to me? If you don't, like, I know it's kind of a hard question maybe, but
in terms of values of things I wouldn't get involved with, I don't think anything that's sounds like in business, anything that's like harms animals or massively against the environment, I wouldn't want to be involved in, or is just generally unethical or sleazy. Like I see, for example, I know some people who make loads of money doing like OnlyFans management. I'm like, yeah, I could see I could make loads of money with that. It's like probably not something I want to be kind of like associated with. Like longer term, is that going to be something that's going to come up? Probably. Like you probably don't want to get involved in that.
Yeah, it's funny you said OnlyFans. I feel like I was so broke back in the day. If OnlyFans had existed,
if you got another option, then
like if 5 years sooner, I probably would have been on that shit. Honestly. Like I'm kind of glad I'm super glad I didn't.
Did you ever get people try to buy your socks on Instagram?
Oh, dude, I remember I don't know if it's still around, but at the time, there's a website called Sean Cody, which is like, it's a porn site basically. It's like dudes are doing all kinds of shit. And like, they would be like, I'll pay you $5,000 to do this. And at the time I was like, $5,000. Like I make like $3,000 a month. And I never did anything, but dude, it was definitely in my mind. Cause I'm like, bro, like there's so much, but what's crazy is like, they'll pay you $5,000 and then, they'll make tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars off you. And it's out there forever. So I'm glad that never happened, but I'm glad I was in a desperate spot. So I could I think I was able to understand people better, because when you're really desperate and you have no idea how to make money and you're just tired of being broke, I mean, I'm glad I'm not there, but it's like, I think it makes sense because it's easier. It's like, hey, just like show yourself naked versus like learn business skills. I mean, I get why people do it. It's like, yeah, it's way easier.
So here's a controversial one for you then. Bonnie Blue, for example, is making millions every month, like in OnlyFans. Yeah. Do you think that's something she's going to regret in 10 years' time?
I don't know how she wouldn't. I mean, even she'll marry somebody, but like, it's hard for me to conceptualize like I'm the guy married to her. But I will say, I respect her that she's so honest.
Yeah, she's all
she's 100% honest versus some girls like kind of beat around the bush, but like, do I think, I mean, bro, I'm not super woo-woo. I'm not super religious, anything like that, but I just can't imagine like, I think she had a video. She was like sleep with 100 guys and
1,000.
Bro, that's just like, and like, I look down on the guys more than her. Like, I'm like, bro, like, do you not get any girls? Like, it's just weird to me. Like, I just can't even picture, like, I'm in a room with 999 other guys waiting my turn. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, do I think she'll regret it? I mean, I don't know how she won't. 'Cause it's like there's nothing, I don't know. It's like, yeah, like, I don't know, bro. Like, it just doesn't.
What price is your soul? Because like that for me is like you, at what point?
Yeah, because I don't, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, but I don't think you'd feel like, I know from experience, like, I don't feel good if I'm just like sleeping around a bunch. Like, I don't feel good. So like what she's doing, it's like a whole nother level. It's like a whole other level. Like, yeah, I don't know.
So you asked one of my values. I think one of my big values is try and live every day not doing anything I regret. Because I think ultimately the regrets are things that kind of like eat away at us inside. Yeah. And obviously if you regret it, something you're probably hiding and you don't tell other people. And I think that's the thing that probably is a chip on your shoulder that kind of weighs on you.
I agree. I mean, I think the only way you can live that way is you just fear more than you fear regret. Or excuse me, you fear regret more than you fear fear. So, like, oh, I'm so scared to start my business. But it's like, you actually are more afraid if you don't start it. You're afraid of like, I'm going to regret not trying versus failing. That's what I think.
Well, one of the things that gives me the biggest amount of drive now is I think about the time I wasted from 20 to 27 working that kind of like 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
And like every day with the same day on repeat.
Yeah.
So like for me, the big thing I think about is like, I learned a lot in that period of time, but like the time I wasted versus like what I could have done with that if I had maybe used my brain and thought a little bit more. And that's why I have so much frustration with people. And I'm like, dude, like for me, when I left my full-time job, all that happens is it doesn't work. I go straight back to where I was anyway. It's like,
it's funny you said that because I started trying to build a business around 22, 23. The only reason I didn't build it sooner is I was trying to play American football and you got to go to university. Like as soon as football ended, like I had all these injuries, et cetera, et cetera. Like I was in class and for 3 months, it felt great. And then I was like, this is going to be the same shit for the rest of my life. I was like, no fucking way. Like I could not comprehend. I was like, why would you want to do this shit for 60 years? Like that's actually the thought I had. I remember that's what pushed me into business. Cause I was like, this is fucking miserable. I remember I was miserable, dude. Like I was so depressed. I was going to be an engineer. And I was like, this is what it's going to be.
But that's the reality for 98%
most people.
Of population.
Yeah. And that's great if that's what you want. I just was like, I love that every day's a little different, or I can travel and I'm seeing the world and do like, we're going to die. So I feel like you want to do as much as you possibly can. That was me at least. Okay. Moving on. Like, do you believe in like God or fate or like anything like so outside that you can't maybe see?
I went to private school. I don't know what that's called in America. In America, is it private school?
Yeah, you have private school.
It's like the decent school.
Yeah, you have that.
Like, so
the decent school. It's like you freaking public scum.
Yeah, I don't know how to like politely
you
put that.
Public school scum.
The schools I went to were quite religious in that aspect, but I was brought up by parents who were kind of pretty atheist, although they were like Catholic kind of originally. I personally would say I'm atheist now, but I believe in some type of higher power.
That's interesting. You're atheist, but you have your views on women that way.
Because is that unconventional?
I just feel like I would say religious people are more that way because they're like, okay, God, God says don't do this. God says don't do that. The fact that you're atheist and you're still like that. I mean, I have atheist friends who are the same way, but I feel like if you are less believing in a certain religion or God, you're just kind of like, oh, like fuck it, none of it really matters. So I think it's more interesting because it's probably actually harder to be that way because you don't have like religion holding you down. A lot of people, they just do stuff out of fear of like judgment from God or whatever.
So I would say I would like to be religious, but I almost don't know how, if that makes sense. Because I like where I would kind of frame that is like culturally in the UK, like Christianity, if you want to talk about that, or like whatever type of religion, you go to like an old church, which is full of old people. And it's kind of like, this isn't really kind of cool. From what I can see from the US, it's actually a lot more of like a community and kind of, it's much more upheld in a higher regard. Whereas in the UK, it's kind of unusual. Although I have got a few friends who are very successful, who are now similar kind of age, mid-30s, who are now gone super religious. So I think, not super religious, but like gone that way. So I kind of see a bit of a shift that is coming maybe a bit on trend again. Like, not that it's a trend, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think happiness is overrated? Or like, do you think the point of life is to be happy? Or do you think it's just like
happiness is a fleeting state? So like, there's going to be moments you're unhappy. There's going to be moments you are happy. I think the most important thing to seek, which I personally look for, is fulfillment. So like, for example, there's a girl who messaged us before coming in here who's just like done 30K in her fitness business, like 10x'd it in fucking 3-4 months. So for me, I'm like, that gives me a sense of happiness and fulfillment because I'm really happy for her. So one of the big things, and I think this is what masculinity is you having the ability to help someone else and help kind of lift someone up, which is, I think, what real men and leaders do. So I think for me, I seek fulfillment over happiness because if you're fulfilled, you'll end up being happy anyway, if that makes sense.
Do you have like like a big fear? I don't know. Like, or like, do you do anything to face? Like, is there anything that just like, I don't know, super terrifies you?
There's nothing that's super terrifying. I think the one biggest thing I'm probably afraid of is like failing, which is probably where the work ethic and drive comes from, where I just don't care. Like, just do whatever it takes.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I can relate so much. Like half the time. So it's funny on my Instagram, sometimes on my stories, like I've gotten a few bans because like I'll type something, you know, like that I shouldn't basically. But lately I would just put FP and, you know, people are like, what is that? I'm like, oh, it's, you know, it's like funny person. I mean, we know what it stands for, but it's I just think more times, like I just have learned, like, at least for me, I just think like ignoring your emotions most of the time is the right way. Like, it doesn't really matter how you feel. And it's just crazy to me how many people, they're super worried how they feel. And I'm like, it doesn't, like, it's irrelevant. Like, I just feel like feelings come and go, and it's like, just do it regardless.
So like, I even give this as an example. So I love my partner dearly, but she'd be like, what's wrong? I was like, don't worry about it. And she was like, what's wrong? I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's like, you can't solve the problem. So it doesn't matter. Like, it is what it is.
Women are super different, but I'm the same way. It's like, yeah, like talking about it doesn't do anything. It's all good.
It doesn't help. I'd rather just like dig a hole, bury it, and then I'll just solve it myself kind of thing.
Yeah, that's probably like one of the downsides of men. I mean, we don't talk enough, but girls, like, I feel like they'll just talk and like it's the same situation. Like, oh, I feel so much better. I'm like, why? Like nothing changed.
Like, it's not solved though. But this is where men and like there's the whole thing about like women want to be heard and men want to solve problems. And this is also, I think, what I find difficult in relationships is like your partner will be like, oh, this and this. And I'm like, yeah, just do that and that. Like, cool. And like they don't actually want the answer. They just want you to talk to them.
All right. So we're gonna finalize with a little bit of a lightning round. So just like, you don't have to, you can take as long as you want, but just kind of like 5 quick questions. What's one fitness myth that needs to die that you just think is like
carbs are evil and bad?
Most overrated entrepreneur advice?
You work too much.
Best investment you made that was under $1,000?
The book Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki.
Interesting. Is there a specific reason?
I think it just opened my eyes in terms of how money really works and how to invest money across different assets. And I think understanding also that this is also a British thing of like, oh, buy a house that you live in with a big mortgage. It's the best investment you ever make. Like, dude, that's like the fucking dumbest thing ever. It's like what society tells you to make money from you. It's also like why they tell you to get a 9-to-5 job. So you're a slave in the system kind of thing.
Okay. What's one thing most people get wrong about you? Or maybe they, you know,
they think I'm very serious. And I think when often people see me in person, they're like, you're completely different than I kind of
I get the same thing. My team, I mean, they'll use a different word, but they're like, bro, like, you just got to stop being a douchebag. I'm like, but I'm not. They're like, dude, sometimes you come off that way in your social, but like in person, you're really funny. So like whenever I meet someone in person, they, oh, dude, you're way better than I thought, or you're way different. I'm just kind of thinking like, well, fuck me. Cause like the goal should be like how you are in person is how they perceptualize you on social. So I got to work on that. But
do you think some of that though is the way they perceive you because you're successful though?
Yeah, maybe. I just think with business, like I'm super serious and like I really just want to give people the juice. So sometimes like, no, like it's like this, it's not like that, da da da. And I think that sometimes, I don't know, like people just think like, whoa, that guy's like really serious. So he kind of seems like a dick. But in person, you know, like I try to have fun and I like try to relate. So I'm not sure, but I think just sometimes I come off like really serious, but you know, like in business, it is serious. I'm like, look, dude, like if you want to win, this is what it takes. I don't know. That's what I think. Maybe you have a different stance on it.
No, I agree completely. I think also when you're trying to teach business stuff, it's like how humorous can you kind of make that? Like fitness, you can kind of be a bit more like lighthearted with it. Yeah. And I also think that's also where it's maybe more challenging to make business orientated content because it's like how entertaining can you make a reel about Facebook ads? Like kind of challenging, right?
Yeah. If you had to choose 10% body fat for life or $10 million overnight, which would you pick?
Can I still get 10% body fat?
Yeah, in this case, we'll say.
Oh yeah, I'll have the $10 million because I know I can get 10% body fat really quick.
If you had to choose, what if you had to pick?
$10 million. I'd actually go for the money because if I didn't have money because the money's permanent, whereas like you could get sick and then anything could happen, you can't get in shape or whatever.
Dude, I feel like I've picked the body fat. I feel like I would, but you know, it's like we're both taking the perception of like we can get, you know, one of the.
You can do both.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, Charlie, like super awesome news, super proud of you. Like your journey's been crazy, a lot of growth. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you or talk to you?
Best place to check me out would be Instagram's at Charlie Johnson Fitness, or if you just type me into YouTube, Charlie Johnson, it will come up with all our YouTube channels and stuff as well.
Bro. Okay, well, best of luck to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.